Unicor just told the FDA they're filing for approval of a Huntington's disease gene therapy. And a year ago, almost nobody on Wall Street thought this drug had a prayer of getting through. Now analysts are calling it a regulatory U-turn, and the reason has names attached: Marty Makary and Prasad, both out, and an FDA that suddenly looks like a very different building. So what changed? That's the whole story. And it's not really about Huntington's disease, even though Huntington's is one of the cruelest diagnoses in medicine. It's about who decides what counts as enough evidence to put a drug into a dying patient's body. That fight is happening right now, inside the agency that controls every prescription in your medicine cabinet. Let me set the table. Unicura makes a gene therapy called AMT-130. It's a one-time brain infusion aimed at Huntington's, a hereditary disease that slowly destroys movement, mood, and memory, usually killing patients in their 40s or 50s. There is no cure. There is barely any treatment. Families watch it coming for decades because they know the gene runs in the bloodline. If you've ever met a Huntington's family, you do not forget it. For years, gene therapies like this one have run into a wall at the FDA. The trials are tiny because the patient populations are tiny. There's no clean placebo arm because you can't sham drill into someone's skull. The data is messy. The endpoints are debated, and under previous leadership, that messiness was often a deal breaker. Then the leadership changed. Marty Makary, the Johns Hopkins surgeon turned FDA commissioner, exited. Prasad, the oncologist and outspoken critic of weak evidence standards, exited. Both men were known for one thing above all: skepticism. They wanted bigger trials, harder endpoints, fewer accelerated approvals based on hope and biomarkers. Love them or hate them, they slowed things down on purpose. And now they're gone. And Unicure, reading the new room, is filing. Here's the part that should make you sit up. According to the reporting from Pharma Dive, analysts are openly saying the current FDA leadership may be more flexible in certain cases. Flexible. That is a very loaded word at a drug regulator. Flexible can mean compassionate. Flexible can also mean the bar moved while you weren't looking. If this is already rewiring how you think about the FDA, subscribe. We're going deep on these fights all the time, and they're only getting louder. So which is it, compassion or capitulation? That's the debate, and it is genuinely live. Because here's what proponents say: Huntington's patients don't have time for a perfect trial. The disease is uniformly fatal. There are 0 approved disease-modifying therapies. If a gene therapy shows even a plausible signal of slowing decline, the moral math tilts toward letting patients try it. That's the argument from patient advocates, from many neurologists, and from a wing of the biotech industry that has spent a decade frustrated by what they call regulatory paralysis. And the critics, they point at history. They point at Aduhelm. The Alzheimer's drug Biogen got approved in 2021 over the objections of the FDA's own advisory committee. 3 committee members resigned in protest. The drug was later effectively withdrawn after it failed to show meaningful benefit, and Medicare refused to cover it broadly. Critics say that's what happens when you let hope outrun data. You burn billions of dollars, you give families false comfort, and you erode trust in the agency itself. That's the ghost hanging over every accelerated approval conversation right now. Aduhelm. And the people who were loudest about Aduhelm being a mistake, Prasad chief among them, are the ones who just left the building. So what does the Unicure data actually show? This is where you have to be careful, because the company has released interim results from a small trial, and the readouts have been genuinely mixed. There have been signals on a biomarker called neurofilament light chain, which tracks neuronal damage. There have been suggestions of slowed clinical decline at certain doses over certain time windows. There have also been safety concerns, including serious adverse events tied to the surgical delivery. Because remember, this therapy is infused directly into the brain. Is that enough for approval? Under the old FDA, most analysts would have told you no, not without a bigger confirmatory trial. Under the new FDA, Unicure is betting the answer might be yes. That bet is the news. And here's what nobody is saying out loud, but everyone in biotech is whispering. If this filing succeeds, the floodgates open. Every small gene therapy company sitting on messy mid-stage data for a rare disease is going to look at Unicor and say, our turn. The bar will have moved, not by statute, not by an FDA advisory committee vote, but by the quiet preferences of whoever is running the agency this quarter. That's the part that should bother you regardless of where you land politically. The standard for putting a drug into your body should not swing this hard based on personnel changes, but it does. It always has. The FDA is not a machine. It's a building full of people with opinions, and when the people change, the opinions change, and the approvals change with them. Now layer in the broader public health war. You've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. running Health and Human Services, which oversees the FDA. You've got a movement inside the administration that has openly questioned how the agency evaluates everything from vaccines to chronic disease drugs. You've got industry watching every signal, trying to figure out which way the wind blows this month. And you've got patients in the middle, some of them desperate, some of them skeptical, all of them affected by decisions made in rooms they will never see. The Huntingtons community, for what it's worth, is largely cheering. I want to be honest about that. When you've watched your mother lose her mind to a disease you know is coming for you next, you do not have patience for academic debates about confirmatory trial design. You want the shot, even a long shot, even one with risk. That is a completely rational human position. And pretending otherwise is its own kind of cruelty. But rational human positions and good regulatory policy are not always the same thing. That's the uncomfortable truth at the center of this whole story. The FDA exists precisely because individual desperate decisions, multiplied across a population, can produce mass harm. Thalidomide was a drug desperate pregnant women wanted. The agency that said no to thalidomide is the same agency now being asked to say yes faster. So where does that leave you, watching this from outside? A few things to hold on to. Lunacore has not been approved yet. They are filing. The FDA still has to review the application, and that review process, even a flexible one, takes months. There will be an advisory committee, probably. There will be public data releases. There will be fights. None of this is settled. And whatever you think about gene therapy or RFK Jr. or the new FDA, please do not take any of this as a reason to change anything about your own medical care. This is a story about institutional standards, not personal prescriptions. Talk to your doctor about your meds, always. What this really is a window into how the machinery that decides what's medicine and what's not is being rebuilt in real time by people most Americans cannot name, based on philosophies most Americans have never heard articulated. Makary and Prasad had a worldview. Their replacements have a different one. Lunacore is the first big test case of what that difference looks like in practice. And there will be more, a lot more. There are dozens of gene therapies, peptide drugs, psychedelic compounds, and rare disease treatments sitting in regulatory purgatory right now, all waiting to see which way this new FDA leans. Some of them will be miracles, some of them will be Aduhelm 2.0. And the agency that's supposed to tell the difference is, by analysts' own admission, in the middle of a U-turn. The question isn't whether the FDA should be flexible. The question is flexible for whom, under what evidence, and at whose risk. Lunacore just made that question impossible to ignore. Because here's the thing about regulatory U-turns. You only find out if they were the right call years later, in the bodies of the patients who took the bet. If this kind of inside the agency reporting is what you want more of, hit like and subscribe. This fight is just getting started, and we're going to be all over it.